Okay. So I had to make sure we were recording there. Okay, so hey everybody that has joined. I appreciate you being here in real time. I know you guys have stuff going on, jobs, other classes, that sort of thing. So I do appreciate you taking the time to be present for our virtual orientation. If you ever want to go back and watch this again, just to kind of get an overview of what the class is about, what the expectations and outcomes are, this is what you'll come back to watch. But again, this will be recorded. So if you do have to jump off or anything, I'm not taking attendance during this. I think it's just helpful to have sort of a breakdown of the class and also give you guys a chance to ask questions about the class in real time and not have to email back and forth with me. This class is a very short session. These 5 weeks will go by very, very quickly. So I just want to make sure that just, right out of the gate, we have an understanding of what is to be expected from the class and kind of what deadlines are going to look like and just kind of what you're going to be doing for this class. So we'll go ahead and get started. If this is anyone's first time using Blackboard, which I'm assuming if you chose to do this little short session, it's probably not your first time. But if it is, then this is what our course shell looks like when you log in. Really, I post announcements probably for this class several times a week. Usually I just do once a week for just updates and what's due for that week, but I'll probably be posting in the announcements pretty frequently. You'll also get an email as well anytime I post an announcement, so you will be able to check your email and all. If you are not already, please make sure that you're using your Gaston College email to be checking for all of the updates from me, any like communication between myself and you. Make sure that you're using that Gaston email, not your personal email. If there is, I can't tell who. I just don't want there to be a bunch of feedback with the recording. Hernan, if you can mute your mic for me. Or actually, I maybe can mute you. Okay, cool. Got it. Sorry about that. Just didn't want a bunch of feedback happening. um, okay, so again, announcements. This is just the most recent announcement I've posted that lets you know the duration of the course, the just kind of basic stuff. So we'll jump from there. Also, if you haven't already taken your course entry quiz, please do that just as soon as we get off of here. This is how we take our census data and just like verifies that you are in fact participating in the class. The census date, I sent out an email earlier today, but due to the storms and like scattered stuff going on last night and internet kind of going in and out, Gaston chose to extend the deadline for our census to Monday, which means the census date is Monday. That's when I have to turn in the census reports, which means that the latest time that you are able to take the course entry quiz for your census activity will be on Sunday night at 11:59. After that, I'll collect all of the data and send it into our auditors and our admin to make sure that you guys are in the class the way that you're supposed to be and that you're officially enrolled. If you don't do the course entry quiz, there is a possibility of you getting booted out of the class. That's not up to me. That is just college policies. So make sure that you do that. It's just a quick, like 3-question quiz. It should take you no more than 2 or 3 minutes to complete. Okay, moving on from the course entry quiz where you can find right there. And then, below our announcement, we've got our syllabus. I've got a syllabus PowerPoint we're going to go over instead of just going through the very like black and white syllabus outline. And that way you can kind of get a better feel for what's to be expected for the class as well and what's in the syllabus. Course information, this is going to be a very important tab for you. And if I were you, this is where our course schedule is going to be found. I would consider just, taking a screenshot of this calendar and printing it out just so that you're aware of all the deadlines that are coming up. Like I said, with this compressed class, it's not so much that we are taking, reducing the amount of work into 5 weeks, but it is a full 16-week course compressed into 5 weeks, meaning there is a lot of due dates. There's a lot of assignments and modules and lessons that are due every week. So yeah, it's very important that you're turning these in on time and that you are, just keeping up with all the due dates. So this is our calendar here. I've got it broken down into weeks, and it also just tells us what all assignments are due for that week. You can see here that there are like whole modules and, sometimes 2 or 3 modules due every week. And yeah, so that's what that's going to look like. I've also got our modules page right here. This is going to be where all of your main work is going to be found at. Obviously, you'll start with module 1. Everything is on adaptive release, so although module 2 is like going to be available, you won't see it visible until the aligning time with the calendar is for module 2. So like this week, you're only going to see module 1 and the Start Here module. And next week, you'll see module 2 and 3, and then so on and so forth. That's just so that you don't work ahead and accidentally go too long without participating in the class, because even if you are working ahead in the class, if you're inactive for an amount of time, then you can be withdrawn from the class. Just again, another college policy. Also, all my assignments are due on Sundays at 11:59. So that means that like all of week 1's assignments, which is, week 1 is starting now, unfortunately, so you don't have a full week for this little bracket of work. But everything that is listed in week 1 here will be due on the 21st, which is Sunday night at 11:59. And that way you can just kind of keep track of it. I don't try to do like multiple dates like throughout the week, just because I think that can get kind of confusing. But as long as you are turning in the bulk of your, or like, all of the work on Sunday nights, you can kind of work at your own pace and, find the time during your week to make that work for you. I'm going to jump over now to our PowerPoint. And this is just going to kind of help us better understand the syllabus and what that's going to look like. So let me try to minimize here. Okay. So this is just my information. You can also find this on the faculty card that is on Blackboard as well. But because this is summer hours, I am not going to be in my office very much. I'm not going to have like official office hours posted. Also, online classes are a little bit different with office hours anyway. But if you ever need to do like a Zoom session with me, or you need to reach out to me and have an appointment and talk about your grade, whatever it might be, then we can definitely do that. Just send me an email and I'll set us up a Zoom link and we can have a one-on-one meeting that way. And I'll make myself available to you however that will work for you. For as far as contacting me, again, I'm not going to be in my office. It's just going to kind of be sporadic this summer. So I'm only going to be communicating via email. I'll get back to you within a couple hours, really at the most, as long as you're emailing me within like working hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. I will be able to respond to you. And then I'll try to respond as much as I can on the weekends, but I'm guaranteed to respond to you nearly immediately, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. This is just kind of going through our course description. Again, I just kind of made everything that was in the syllabus into the PowerPoint. So just to kind of go off of what our course description is, this course introduces the origins and historical development of art. Emphasis is placed on the relationship of design principles to various art forms, including but not limited to sculpture, painting, and architecture. Upon completion, students should be able to identify and analyze a variety of artistic styles, periods, and media. So that essentially is to say this class really is a just sort of overview of all different brackets in visual arts. So we'll start out by talking about just how to discuss art, how to analyze art, and just some very basic introductory information. We'll move on to a mediums unit, which is just talking about each of the different sort of disciplines within art, painting, sculpture, architecture, all of that. And then our last big chunk of work will be a art history unit. So that's sort of the breakdown. It's just giving us a good overview of what all visual arts entails. So we'll move on from there. But if you ever need to come back to the course description, it is right here. Again, I'm not going to go through all the student learning outcomes, but this is here for you if you need to know, what goals we're trying to meet, what our final exam is based on, all of that sort of stuff. Something to really note in this class, I've already gotten a few questions regarding this. This is a new form of art appreciation classes, and this is sort of my expertise. I'm really the only art instructor in the department that is teaching in this way. But essentially what it means is OER content is open educational resources, meaning that there is no textbook for this class. Everything that is our lecture materials, our learning materials for this class is going to be through Creative Commons, or it's going to be something that I have composed myself and, have dealt with all the copyright kind of stuff. With that said, essentially our substitute for a textbook is a platform called Edpuzzles, and it's where I am doing online lectures with PowerPoints included in them. Very similar to kind of what this format is, honestly. It's just going through each of our lessons and sort of bringing to life, the content that I have in my PowerPoints. And then you'll have a copy of that PowerPoint in each of the modules as well. But with that said, it's very important to watch the Edpuzzles. That's also our participation credit for this class as well, which we'll get into a little bit more later on. But the important thing to note is that we do not have an official textbook for this class. It is all open educational resources. Just some basic requirements. We'll be using Blackboard for everything in this course. If any time you have trouble logging into Blackboard or you have any technology issues, please, even if it's on your phone, just try to contact me in some form to let me know that you are having issues, so that we can get you taken care of as quickly as possible. If you, for some reason, are out of internet for a week for this course specifically, with it being only 5 weeks, that's a fifth of the class that you're missing. So it's really important to get those types of technology issues taken care of as soon as possible. Or if there's any other type of issues going on, if there's, if you're ill or, you have something happen during this 5 weeks that prohibits you from being active in the course, just try to be as communicate as clearly with me as possible and as timely as possible, just so we can get you taken care of and not too much time passes. Oh, also, I said this earlier in the video, but if you are contacting me or anybody else at Gaston College, we are not allowed, it is a college policy. We cannot respond to you with any type of information that is personal or regarding the class if you are emailing with an outside email address. So I know a lot of you, or maybe some of you, are coming from high school classes. And if that's the case, and you're using like your school email, the one that ends in K-12 Gaston or something otherwise like that. Although that is your school email, we still cannot respond to it unless it ends in the gaston.edu. So that's a pressing issue. It goes on every semester, and people make mistakes. It's no problem. But just remember that if you are emailing me with the Gaston or without a gaston.edu email address, I can't respond to you just with the college policy. Here's our attendance policy. Again, this is just sort of a breakdown. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. The important thing for you to know in this online course, as far as, how you participate, how you get attendance, I take attendance weekly to just know when you are submitting assignments, and that's more for me than it is for you. However, if you do go longer than, and again, 21 days is nearly the amount of time that we have in this whole course, but if you go 21 days without participating to some extent, you have to turn in an assignment, you email with me even, any type of like one-on-one contact with me and the class or the class and yourself, then if it goes beyond 21 days, you will be withdrawn from the course. So just make sure that you're not, hopefully you're submitting things weekly. I'll be reaching out to you weekly if I don't see you submit your assignments for the week. But 21 days is the maximum amount of time you can go without being withdrawn from the class. This has changed literally just a few hours ago. The census date for the course is now the 22nd. Originally, it was the 18th. So all that means is you need to have your course entry quiz submitted by the 21st at 11:59, which is Sunday. And the last withdrawal date for this course, it's almost the end of the course because our last day of the course is the 20th of June. But the 15th is the very last day that you can withdraw from the class and still receive like the W on the transcript and not, have whatever grade it is that you had before you withdrew or attempted to withdraw. This is a makeup policy for Gaston College. This is important, definitely, But as far as my makeup work and late work policy goes, with this class specifically, I unfortunately am going to be a bit of a stickler about it, because it's so quick. The turnaround is just so quick. We have a pretty much zero late work policy for this class. Um, Unless there is something that you can provide documentation for, like a doctor's note, or you know, excusing you for the days that you're saying that you couldn't submit the work. That's really the only way that I'm going to allow you to submit late work. I'm, it's a stressful class for you guys because you are having to turn in multiple assignments weekly, but it's also a stressful class for me as well because I'm having to grade hundreds of assignments every week, just to keep track of things. So if we bring late work and makeup work into that mix as it is, it just gets really confusing and difficult for me and for you to have a good understanding of where you're at with the class. So I realize this class is online, which is a really good benefit for you because even if you are, traveling, or if you're, not at home, or, whatever it might be, you don't necessarily have to be somewhere at a certain time to get counted as attending the class, or submitting the work. You can work at any time throughout the week to submit your work. But with that said, if you're waiting until the last minute to submit work and you experience something like an internet outage, a failed Wi-Fi, losing a charging cable, missing the deadline by 1 minute because the deadlines do close after 11:59 on Sundays, these are not valid excuses for me to extend a deadline for you, especially if it's at the 11th hour. So if it's Sunday night and it's 11:50 and you email me with something like this, I'm not going to be checking my computer at that point. It's, I'm logged off. You need to be making sure that you are taking care of these things and that you have these, availabilities to you before the 11th hour. Now, if you message me on Wednesday and you say, hey, I'm having a lot of trouble connecting to my Wi-Fi and I'm not really sure when I'm not going to have access to it next, then that's a conversation we can have. But if it's one of these things and it's, the last minute, last deadline, it's not going to be a valid way for me to excuse your work. So again, please make sure that you are, giving me a good heads up if you do need to extend a deadline, at least 7 days, unless there is some sort of emergency that can warrant a medical documentation, or that like medical documentation that can warrant the late work or makeup work. Another just important policy that I have with emailing. So I've already said that this is just a college policy, not necessarily my policy, but unless you use your gaston.edu email address, I cannot respond to you with any type of information regarding the course. This isn't quite as important because I only have this one online session this summer, but it would really help me if you as well put your section number in the course, or in the email that you're sending to me. So D6E is our section number. If you could just include that at the bottom of the email in the subject line, just somewhere on there to let me know where this email is coming from, that would be very much appreciated as well. And then there's also a little section on email etiquette in the course information. If you could please make sure that you are using proper grammar, spelling, punctuation, and not treating email like a text. That would also make me very happy as well. I know that sometimes that doesn't always happen, but sometimes I'll just get emails that say, like, when is it due? No address to me, no signature off, no description of what that is. And so I just have to guess as far as what is due or what you're asking me is due. So just, try to be as formal as you possibly can so that we are able to communicate effectively. And if these guidelines are not upheld, I will not respond to the email. If you are not hearing back from me in a timely manner, it's because one of these three things did not happen. Just other important information. Everything is, and I already kind of made you aware of this as well, but everything is on adaptive release. So like module 3 is not going to be available until module 3, like week is due. So that's just something to note as well. Make sure that you are, not trying to work ahead. You really can't work ahead. But the only reason I do that is because if you do all of your work ahead of time and then you go inactive for 21 days because you've turned everything in, you still can get withdrawn from the class. That's just, again, a college policy, not so much mine. Um, Here's some information from the Caston College Writing Center. If you feel like there's a lot of writing in this course, there's a lot of like essay type responses. If you feel like you're struggling with that, this is the form to the Gaston College Writing Center. If I feel like you're struggling with that, I may reach out to them and just say, hey, can you contact the student? I feel like they are, just sort of missing the mark as far as like writing their essays, and they'll help you to better format and better organize your writing assignments so that you're not getting points taken off for, more so like grammar and spelling mistakes. Here's their other information as well. Okay, this is the this I've got a little bit off on these percentages here, but this is our methods of evaluation. Ed Puzzles is worth 25% of our grade. This is mostly what you're going to be doing in the course, which is why it's weighted so heavily. Ed Puzzles are released each week and must be watched entirely, as well as answer any built-in questions that are there. So each module has an Ed Puzzle folder. It's your responsibility to watch every video that is listed in that folder. They're each worth a participation or an Ed Puzzle percentage of your grade. So if you don't watch one of them, it will be counted as a zero for that, which is, there's 100 videos in the Ed Puzzle folders. So, I mean, with all of them combined, probably. So if you miss one, it's not a huge deal. But if you, consecutively miss multiple Ed Puzzles, it will start to add up. And sometimes they have these built-in questions. Sometimes they don't. If they do have them, you do need to answer them. If you don't answer them, it will not count you as completing the activity. Assignments and discussions. Essentially, the only difference here is assignments do not require you to respond to a classmate, but they both are pretty similar as far as like what they're going to be asking you to do. Assignments will require you to follow their prompts and address each of the respective tasks. You'll need to submit both writing and images in one document, preferably in a Word document or a PDF, and then upload to the assignment submission. And then discussions, typically I have you respond just to one classmate in a thoughtful way, but make sure that you look to make sure that there is, not saying respond to 3 classmates or respond to 4 classmates. Sometimes, just depending on what the prompt is, I want you to respond to more people. But most oftentimes it's just one thoughtful response to one other classmate. So just make sure that you read the whole descriptions for those once they come about. Quizzes, each module has a quiz, so there's 8 quizzes total. They're worth 15% of your grades. They're 5 to 10 questions. They are multiple choice, fill in the blank, true or false style questions. And it's also important to note, so when we do have our final exam, there's 2 parts to it. Part A is it's created by the curriculum or by the department, so every class is going to be the same there. Part B, which is the part that I create, it is coming from old quiz questions that we scored poorly on. So it's different every semester, but just whichever ones we scored the most poorly on are the ones that I'd try to make us like revisit again and make sure that we get the right answer the second time. It's pretty easy, but it's always important to review your quiz questions and, maybe even take a screenshot of the ones that you missed on your computer so that you can have it to study for later on. But that's where quizzes are going to come from. And just also I'd like to give you a heads up about what the final exam is going to look like so that you can prepare for that in advance. Okay, lastly, our final project. So typically I have this, we have multiple projects. For this class though, I'm only gonna have us do one project that's a little bit bigger, a little bit more involved. The project is to curate a virtual museum. This is gonna come after we go over our last art history unit. So you can prepare for this for a while, but you'll not really have all the information given by me until we go over that final bit of art history. Essentially, what you're doing here is creating your own exhibition with collections that you create based on different modern art movements like surrealism and pop art and other ones that come from like the 1900s. And you're going to be choosing artworks and just sort of like giving us a bit more, description on what those artworks are and why you chose them for the collection. We'll go over this in more depth later on in the course, probably a couple weeks in, so that you can start thinking about it. But it is worth 10% of your grade, as well as your final exam, or final exam, which is going to be a part A and part B of multiple choice, fill in the blank, and true or false. We will have a Jeopardy style study guide for this exam that you can use to study for it. It's also worth 10% of your grade. And then for extra credit opportunities, if you are looking for extra credit, there are several opportunities that are on Gaston College campus. In the summer, it's a little bit different just because there's not as many exhibits going on. However, if you are going to go to a local museum or gallery, let me know in advance and just see if I will approve it or not for extra credit. If I do approve it, you can take a selfie in the gallery with the artwork and then email that photo to me, and I'll add 2 points to your final grade. So that doesn't maybe seem like a lot, but if you have a 88 and you need a 90 to pass the class, then you can get 2 extra points added on and get a 90 for the class and get an A. There's a maximum of 3 times that you can use this extra credit opportunity, so you can't just like not do any of the work and then go to a million art museums. But you can get a total of 6 extra credit points added to your final grade if you want to do it 3 times throughout the semester. Oh, and I meant to say this, but it can't be the same gallery that you're going to 3 times. It has to be different galleries. So that's all that I really have for you. This is what I always put at the end of this PowerPoint, but you're officially a Gaston College student now if you were not already before. This comes with a lot of perks and privileges. You have access to the gym facilities, the library access, student discounts, and more. If you need any explanation on what those kinds of things are or what they mean or how you get, access to them, please feel free to reach out to me. I can kind of direct you in the right place. But again, I say this to also say that with that comes the expectations of college students in this class. You must be professional, mature, and respectful at all times throughout your postings, throughout your communication with me, and just your professionalism with making sure that you are meeting everything that is needed for this class. With that said, let me jump back over here real quick, trying to make sure I don't have anything left off. Let's go back to our start here real quick. I'm just going to quickly go over what we need to do now at this point. So if you haven't already read this little blurb, whatever you want to call it here, I would definitely do that. But it's pretty much just, I've said everything pretty much that is in this paragraph already. Great job. You have already attended or watched the virtual orientation, just kind of going over everything and all the things that we were talking about for this course. So again, after you do the virtual orientation, if you haven't already, please do your course entry quiz. It's again our census activity. It's very important to complete this activity before the 21st at 11:59 p.m. if you wish to be enrolled in the course. And then lastly, you'll need to complete your discussion board, the icebreaker favorite art discussion. That is going to be found right here. It's very, very easy, but it's just essentially you getting familiar with the format if you haven't submitted to a Blackboard discussion board before. This is a kind of free pass. I like to see what your responses here are, but pretty much if you just follow the very simple directions here, you'll get 100 on this assignment. All it's asking you to do is to find a picture of your favorite artwork. Maybe if you don't have a favorite artwork, look around a little bit before you do this and take a good screenshot of that or just save a good, nice image of it and give us a little bit of information about the artwork. Tell us the artwork title, the artist's name that created the artwork, the media. So is it a painting? Is it a drawing? Is it a sculpture? Tell us that and the date that it was created. And then you'll need to create a thread in the icebreaker discussion post here. And let's see. After you do that, you'll need to write a short paragraph, about 150 words, about why you've selected this image as your favorite. Does it have a connection to you? Do you like the subject matter, etc.? And then respond to at least 3 classmates in a meaningful way. So like I said, most of the time it's just one response, but I just want you to respond to more than one classmate so you can kind of get the feel for, what responses should look like and so forth. Here's an example I have of the initial post. When I call something an initial post within discussions, that just means like your original post, not your comments included, but just like, the thread that you have created without any comments is your initial post. So to do that, if you haven't already done a discussion style assignment before, all you need to do is just click here and you will go to create a thread up here at the top. Looks like we already have several people that have posted there, which is great. But you'll just need to create a thread and then embed your image. And that's pretty much all you need to do. Let me make sure there's nothing else that I've forgotten here on here. Make sure you add a subject as well. You can just put like, icebreaker, favorite art here, or your name, or, whatever. And then you can browse images right here for your attachment for your image, or you can also use this little plus arrow right here on the drop down for the message part to add your image as well. Just make sure it's saved to your computer in some way. And then what we also have going on this week is our first module. So you'll see this is open. I have the due dates listed down here. You'll need to complete the first module 1 quiz, and you'll also need to complete lessons 1 and 2 in the Edpuzzle folder. So we'll just click here. Our quiz is open. It can be taken. Our Edpuzzle folder is right here. And it looks like you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos that you need to watch for this Edpuzzle section, module, whatever you want to call it. And those are all due, everything that we've talked about so far, as far as like assignments, the discussion, the course entry quiz, the quiz for module 1, the Edpuzzles, all of those are due on the 21st. And again, I can always go back to the course information right here to find exactly what is due each week. And you can just, put a little check on the side of each of those once you get it done. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have as far as just the rundown for this course. Again, I appreciate everybody that joined live. And if you were watching the recorded version of this, I appreciate for you doing that as well. But if there's not any other questions or anything, please, just let me know. This is just kind of an open time for you guys to talk freely at this point. Any questions or concerns or anything? And kind of get out of this so I can get back to. Anyone who's joined live have any questions before we log off? Or you can unmute yourself as well if you'd like to ask them in person. Okay, let's just get a little thumbs up from everybody, just so before we sign off, to make sure that we're all good. If you can just type that in the little chat box here. Okay, I appreciate it, Bella. I appreciate it, Hernan. All right, y'all two are good to go. Lauren, Karen, are y'all good on any questions or anything? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and log off. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you soon. Oh, Karen, did you have a question?